One of the few things that doesn't suck about 2020, McFarlane Toys collection of DC Multiverse figures. Today we've got AZRAEL and Batman armor. Stay tuned. So here he is, all freshly out of the box. And I'm just going to say, for the reasons I bought him, and that is the look, I'm very satisfied. He has great detail molded into him. The gold looks very nice. It doesn't look plasticky or too yellowy. The cape is nice, and it's thin. It's not fabric. It's thin, and it's got some really nice detailing in it. So those things all good. But as he keeps falling down, you can see I'm generally disappointed in this figure, and it all comes to its construction and its joints. Like right out of the box, this leg is completely loose. This ankle is turned out, and I can't turn it back in because it doesn't have that kind of joint. This arm won't even hold up. It immediately falls down no matter what you do with the shoulder. Of course, these things get in the way of arm movement anyway. The wrists, like, they don't bend in. They both go side to side, which I think is just poor. And like, I had a hard time just making the three poses you just saw on the turntable. So he looks cool. He's one of those figures that if you can get him to stand in a good pose, put him on the stand and keep him that way, because unless mine is just really a lot worse than all the other ones, his upper body, it just won't be held up by these legs that just won't hold still. So again, I like him for the look. I will definitely put him on the stand, and I will stand him on my shelf with all the other cool Batman. He looks really great. He just doesn't hold up well when it comes to being able to pose him. Final score on AZRAEL in Batman armor. For articulation and posability, I'm marking him pretty low as a 2. He has most of the points of articulation that we're used to, only a lot of them are very limited or very loose or whatever else. Shoulders barely move with the shoulder pads. The head barely swivels. The elbows don't go even 90 degrees. The wrists both turn in like the direction you don't want both of them to turn. And the ankles are quite weak. And the toe crunch even is loose from the start. And on top of all that, he's built very top heavy and his legs are very thin. So I think posability is going to be quite limited on top of what I already tried to do. So 2 for that. For accessories, he's kind of got the bare minimum when it comes to McFarlane Toys. He's got a weapon, he's got the stand, he's got the card. So I'm going to give him a 3, but he needs alternate head, alternate hands, spattering, more than this Build-A-Figure part. For looks, I bought him because he looks awesome in the box. He looks awesome out of the box. He looks a lot like the artwork on the back of the box. So I'm going to give him a 5, because across the board, I think it's exactly what he's supposed to look like. The detail's great. The cape has great detail. The gold looks like gold and not some kind of cheap whatever. I think he looks great. I'm going to give him a 5. Construction, though, going to only give him a 3. Like, fresh out of the box. Legs are just dancing. The ab crunch moves with it, too. He falls over a lot. Again, the toe joints, super loose. Just not overly well constructed for what we're used to. And again, now the other things I mentioned before about the shoulder armor getting in the way of the arms moving and the head not being able, accessory issues, the same issues when it comes to construction. So put that all together, it's 2, 3, 5, 3. That's 13 out of 20. I would not say I would highly recommend this figure. I definitely do still like this figure, but he is challenged by posability. Know that before you go and get him. If you like Batman, you love Curse of the White Knight, he looks great. I definitely say that you should get him if you like any of those reasons. If you're just looking for a standard Batman figure, probably not as much, but he's pretty good. I'm Mark for PlayThingamajig, where it's all about toys. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Here we have McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse AZRAEL and Batman armor. Not to be mistaken for the AZRAEL figure, which is red and also from the same Curse of the White Knight comic storyline. This is where he usurps Batman and puts on a very similar costume. Doing a quick box overview, the front is obviously the best thing to look at. He looks really awesome. These boxes are kind of oversized compared to a lot of stuff, so for those in-box collectors, good luck with all of your space. But he does look pretty awesome. I like the uniformity of the boxes, and almost all of them have a blue background, which even with a dark figure like this allows him to stand out. So here's the front. He looks great. Got his big old red sword. Here's the side, nothing there. Here's the side, really nothing there. The back just gives us the same picture that's on the card included. And that's about it. So, much like the Nightfall comic line from the 1990s, the guy in the armor here is Jean Paul Valley. He's got a slightly different backstory than he did in the 90s, but he still ends up usurping Batman and taking on the COWL himself. He is manipulated by the Joker to usurp the Batman. There's the card. This is the first McFarlane Toys that I have done a review on, so I'm probably going to end up saying something that I will say again in the future. Hopefully I don't become a broken record about it. But there's a couple of things about this line that you probably haven't heard. You probably have heard before, just not from me. But a couple of things about it that I will touch on as it's my first review. First of all, I had very low expectations of this line. For one thing, I think Mattel pause for noise. For one thing, I think Mattel kind of dropped the ball on the most recent DC offerings that they were putting out. So DC figures haven't been great in recent years. And McFarlane, I think, has dropped the ball on some of their toy lines by having them just fizzle out and disappear and offering weird variations. But this line has come out with very many figures that all look pretty great. Another thing too is they were used to be pretty well known for making very nice statues and not being very articulated, which I believe changed with the Mortal Kombat figures, maybe sooner. I don't know anything beyond those really. But anyway, these things, so I just didn't have a lot of expectations, and they have exceeded my expectations by far. These figures have a lot of articulation. I now own a number of them. I don't know what's wrong with this angle here. It doesn't pivot the way I want it to, but it looks like it's bent funny. Anyway, I think they're very good figures. The other thing that I had a complaint with, which I know a lot of people had a complaint with, is that they are in a 7-inch scale instead of a 6-inch scale like so many other figures. That is a problem if you're the kind of person that wants to have, your WWE wrestling figure fighting against your Star Wars Black Series figure, facing off against your Marvel Legends figure, and then Batman can't be part of it because he's too big. But if you've paid attention to the background in my intros, my collection, I have all of the cubicle shelves on my wall, and everybody plays together who's in the same universe. So to me, it's not a problem. I can see why it'd be a problem for others. But McFarlane is known for making 7-inch figures. A number of their spawns were 7s. I believe the Harry Potters, the Mortal Kombats, the Stranger Things, those were all 7-inch. So it's a scale they are used to, and from a number of those figures that they've put out, they do a good job. So I can't fault them for doing their own thing. And we're just going to get over it because we have to. Okay, so here's everything that comes in the box. We've got our collector card, which has art from and details on from the comic story. Obviously, we've got our stand, our giant AZRAEL sword, which, unlike everything else about AZRAEL, he was very red in the past figure with a red flaming sword. Then he changed to all black AZRAEL Batman. That is quite a loose joint coming out of there. But he didn't change the color of the sword, so that's okay. And that's everything in the box. So here's a little in-depth into the articulation limitations. As if you can see here, his head, it moves like that far. That is it. It does go up a little more, but this cowl makes it near impossible to turn his head, which, yeah, it is what it is. These, they look like they might snap off. I'm a little afraid to do it in that it might break. But I mean, obviously in real life, if you had a character with giant spiky shoulder pads, he couldn't lift his arm really far either. But really, like, he can't really get up his arm up here. So he's got, looks like the joint, he's got almost like a butterfly type look and a compound swivel and ball joint type thing going, but he just can't get his arm up that high. This arm, no matter what I do with it, it just falls back down. It's just a super loose, it's a bad joint. I'm hoping this is not across all of them, but I'm doing this review as if they all are. He's got an ab crunch. Actually, it's more of a sway, but there's not a lot of motion in it. I just felt something weird on the back. Now this butt plate is actually like spongy. That's not expected. That might actually be part of the, I don't know if that'd lead to the problem with the joints or not, but this is not hard plastic here. You can squeeze his butt. The wrists, I've noticed in a number of reviews that I watched before I started making this channel, that a lot of people noticed that like one wrist on most figures would go like that, would go side to side, and one wrist would kind of like fold toward, like you're clenching your fist. Both of his go this way. And I don't know that I like that. At least this nice clawed hand, I'd like it to be able to like pull his wrist forward like, wah. But it doesn't. And so I've already said about how loose my hip joints on my figure are. But on top of that, I mean, I was trying to pose him for those little turntable videos at the beginning, and I couldn't even like, I couldn't make him do anything. Even if I got him in a pose, which I barely could, like this thing really stops his leg from going up. This one goes a little higher, but as soon as you get up to here, it's way out to the side. It's just very difficult to make him do any pose besides just standing up, which is weird because they put all this work into his ankles. They even gave him the toe pivot, but I couldn't make his lower body hold any pose besides standing. And even that was difficult because it's not even the cape's fault, but he's just so top heavy. The top of the figure just wobbles. Look, I'm not even moving the legs, and look at him just. Again, hopefully it's not all of them. I got one for my son. I'll have to see on Christmas Day when he opens his if he's got the same problems mine has. The knee joints, which are double jointed, are super tough. Like they're ratcheted and they hold really well, as do the elbows. Very, very strong ratchet there. But just one of the two shoulders on mine is just garbage. This leg was flopping before I even got it out of the plastic coffin on the inside. I really am surprised that that's spongy. I shouldn't say spongy. It's thicker vinyl than the cape, but it's not hard plastic. It's not spongy. It's just soft vinyl. That's weird. And I don't know if that leads to the problem. I don't want to push on his crotch and make you guys think I'm weird, but his codpiece, that's hard. This looks like it's all connected somehow. I don't actually know how that's connected. Oh, it stops right there. It stops right there. This is soft vinyl underneath the belt and all the way around. And then from here down to his crotch and from the belt up on the back is all the hard plastic. He is actually interesting in construction, but not good in construction. But I mean, yeah, look how good this looks. Focus, there we go. That's why I got him. Look how ominous and impressive this looks. So if you're happy with this, you're going to be okay with it. But if you want to be able to pose them in a number of cool, especially, you know, action-packed poses, it's not going to hold. So fortunately, all of my figures I buy for the look because I'm just old enough to not worry about anything else. So for that reason, I'm still happy with this guy. I'll probably actually end up giving him higher marks in the final grade because I'm satisfied with what he is. But I could see a lot of people not being happy if theirs is as, I don't know if faulty is the word, or poorly designed or poorly implemented as mine is. Eyes are, yeah, the red eyes are cool. Now, I still like him. He's got a lot of flaws. That's why we do a review. It's up to you whether you like the flaw or whether you can see through the flaws or not. this is what he is. In the Nightfall storyline in the 1990s, he was known as Azbats. This is not your father's Azbats. Coming up next on Playthingamajig. This is the first McFarlane toy that I am reviewing, so I will say a couple things right in the bat. Today we've got AZRAEL in Man-Bat armor. Man-Bat armor. McFarlane Toys and their line of DC Multiverse figures. I forgot. Show the back, which says almost nothing. Son of a bit. I'm getting stuck on this. It's pissing me off. Garbage. What the hell is happening? Final grade on... This guy is pretty cool looking. I don't even know where I'm going with this. Got him for looks, so I'll pose him once. Yeah, I'm babbling. Don't babble during the final score because it fits in the first 3 minutes. Yeah, okay. I gotta quit babbling. I gotta find a way to finish. Finish.
Thank you.